This is Random Urban Memories, brought to you by the Rum Boys. You've seen, heard, or felt it on the streets. Well, we're here to talk about it.
In 3, 2, 1.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us yet again for another episode with Shane and David.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually so glad that we don't sing.
Why? I sing great. I sing great.
Because
people just keep telling me that I sing bad. But it's about believing in yourself. And practice.
What the hell do they know?
Well, yeah. Did they win anything? Did they post up any albums? Or do they record?
Do you know what? That is actually, now that you mention that, that is something that has always kind of bothered me. Like Britain's Got Talent, X Factor, all that bullshit. Like, what I have yet to see. I mean, it's all great that somebody gets an opportunity to televise their attempt at stardom or whatever. Fair enough, go ahead, you know. But what I find really interesting is that there's always an incredibly sad story behind those auditions, you know.
And after, behind each one of them.
And it amazes me. I've never seen anyone come on and they're like, all right, tell us about yourself. I don't know why I did that accent, but anyway.
It's British also.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, mate, tell us about yourself.
And the thing is that nobody comes on and says like, yeah, I'm in a, middle income, and I'm very happy with my wife and 2 kids.
Yeah.
My parents are still alive. I'm having quite a good time, and I decided to do this just for the fun. And they're like, get off that stage.
Yeah.
Get off that stage, man. Nobody's going to give a shit about you.
All right, mate. Brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Get out. Get off the stage, mate.
3 X's right away. Yeah, you'd never see perfectly well-adjusted people.
Yeah, it's like something really, really sad happened there.
Always.
Or it must be like all of this is just coming up with all of the different stuff. It's like, oh man, like difficult childhood.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, like, oh man, I was on drugs up until last week, and I just realized like last week that I can actually sing. and you guys were in Liverpool doing the audition for X Factor. So I'm like, why would I not go? So I'm like, my mate took me to the audition, to the theater.
Because I can't afford the bus.
And I'm like, and now I'm here, and I can suddenly sing, right? It's incredible, right? And it's you, Simon, right? And the other people here. It's crazy.
I even named them.
Yeah.
But it's just the same over and over. Anyway, it's kind of off track. It's just that singing part. I always wanted to air that opinion. It's kind of like, would you, if that is a person with absolutely no mad, sad backstory, even though we all have one in some shape or form, would people give a shit? Even though they could be the best singer on the planet. And the people are like, he's not tragic or she's not tragic enough. Fuck off the stage. You know?
Yeah. They just have these, like, they have them prepared. Like, they know that, like, they go
criteria. They don't give a shit about
They have them prepared
else.
already, and they just, so we just need to create a story behind you. So tell me something about you. And I watched one, I think it was on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, X Factor. I think it was X Factor. And Simon, is it Simon Cowell?
Yeah.
And he was making, so he was choosing, like, between 2 girls. And he comes over to one of them, and he's like, so, darling, but it's not your year. So if I would be the girl, I would be like, so we're like coming here next year? Like,
you inviting me or what?
Are you guaranteeing me finals next year, or what is the deal here? You know, so it's just a weird way how they are. Yeah, and I think that it's fun. The funniest part is that all of the people who are there, like doing the auditions, and they make it to semifinals, and then they have to perform in front of each other. Let's say in the house of Simon Cowell, right?
Yeah.
And it's all of them, and somebody starts to sing, and everybody just starts to go really like experts, like, oh man, you're great, man, you're great, mate. And it's like, and I'm like, you can be an expert on like music, but you don't have to be like overly showing how much you enjoy their singing, or
But you know, those reality shows, who knows what they're doing off camera? You know what I mean? Because you know those Real Housewives of Atlanta, Chicago, my back garden, who the fuck knows? But they stir stuff in the background.
Oh yeah.
You know, they say stuff, or they cut the camera like, you're not angry enough, or, you know.
And
who knows what it's like for X Factor as well. You got to keep it moving in the end, because it would be incredibly boring to see like just an hour of people just like they would normally listen to an audition. It's just going to sit there and be like, take notes. You know? So it's all entertainment, man. It's all entertainment.
Crazy. I should go for X Factor also. We should go.
Oh my god.
Imagine that we would just try to go.
Man. Would you go? I don't know.
If the main guys would see me, I wouldn't go because, like, you know that they don't see all of them, right? That there's like other groups that are.
Oh, there's like 1,000 people. Before
they check and then they choose the good ones, the funny ones, and then the bad ones. So I know I would go if I would know that I would see them. But then I know that I don't sing very well, so it would be like.
Wait, I'm talking about seeing the show. Are you talking about auditioning? What? What? I was talking about going and seeing it, dude.
I was going to audition.
Oh, you got dreams, son.
Man.
Damn.
So almost in
Guys,
Slovakia got Idol.
Go fund me page for
Slovakia's Idol.
Exactly.
I was almost on the first one. Well, I didn't apply for it, but because I was 15 years old, and you could only do it from 16 or something.
Okay, no, just the way you phrased that, I also nearly won a gold medal in the Olympics, but I didn't.
Do you know what? Fuck you and your dreams. Fuck you and your Olympic. Fuck you and your Olympic gold, right?
But just the way you phrased it, it was like.
Listen, in Slovakia, everything is possible, right? So
I was nearly on the first season,
have been
but I didn't go.
Yeah, because I knew that I would make it.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's so good.
Oh man, nobody's gonna believe us.
No.
Cool.
Anyway, you know what's entertaining and not entertaining at the same time?
Tell me.
Da-da-da. In Ireland, today, the 9th of October, the budget for 2019 has just been announced.
Some budget. So what's the main... So, before we start, I like how on Saturday they announced that they literally found 600 million just lying around.
Yeah. And
they're going to incorporate it into Tuesday's budget. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Right?
That's because of the change in the count.
Leprechauns.
They found
they let a lot of leprechauns out into the wilderness, and they found the pots of luck, and they're like,
those are accountant.
They brought them back on Sunday, and they're like, it's fucking 600 million. They counted like the whole night, you know, like when they counted like cocaine money. They're like, fucking
ding 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 ding.
There was Irish music was playing, and they're like counting.
Can you believe the money we've just found?
I got 100 million. What the fuck?
Oh, there's that accent that literally no Irish-speaking person speaks in, but you see them in movies all the time. So yeah, that was really odd as well. That doesn't happen very often. It was just because of the accountancy or reporting ways had been changed. That's why companies declared tax earlier than they usually would have.
Oh, right.
And that's why there was an additional 700 million or 800 million or whatever it was. But again, this is not reoccurring. It's just how this was going to be
this year
reported. Yeah, this year.
Okay.
What we're going to do is we're not going to go through absolutely everything. We're just going to skim over a couple of points of interest. Also, we're not economists, even though you did economy in college, and I did a bit of economy, just on a macro level. Okay, the general points would be, and what we're going to talk about as well for all of our international listeners, because it's not really that interesting listening to other countries' budget proposals for the year.
Unless you are the nerdy accountant sitting there listening to us.
Oh yeah, you get off on that, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Ireland is doing as a small island, but a surprisingly rich nation.
Yeah. In
the sense of what it actually has.
Yeah, Celtic Tiger.
Yep. And what was left of it.
Yeah.
So basically, VAT for hotels, restaurants, and hairdressers is going to go up, and others is going to go up to 13.5%. Me, coming from the hotel industry, I can say that during the recession. Thank you. They reduced the tourism rate basically to 9%. To help stimulate it, which actually did do a good job. Yeah. But now, seemingly, a lot of people are kind of under the impression that hotels were price gouging because things are looking up. Occupancy is way up high across the nation, that's you're looking in and you're kind of like €300 for a little bullshit room.
Yeah.
For on a Thursday in February, middle of February. So they kind of said like, okay, you know what? We're going to bring that up now, which is going to fund and offset a lot of what's been going on.
Yeah. No, it's definitely. I mean, like, before the price, does this apply to B&B also?
Yes.
Or is it just hotels?
Room rates mostly.
Freaking B&Bs are like way too expensive. Like Cork, if you get a room in a B&B in Cork for €100, you are lucky. For €100.
I remember it always used to be like 60, 65 euro. Yeah. But now?
Let that sink in.
In a B&B.
In the B&B.
That's incredible.
We paid €300 in June for a hotel room. One night.
That's a lot.
No breakfast. Yeah, exactly.
That is...
I mean, it's in the center, but €300 for one night.
But it's crazy, man. It's
like,
crazy.
What am I? Freaking Rockefeller.
That's nuts. So yeah, they want to put a curb to that because the occupancy rates will remain high.
But then this will mean that the prices will go up again.
Of course it will, man. Of course it will, man. They gouge everything. But then again, there's a set room charge over which you cannot go, which is called the rack rate in hotels. People don't know that.
All right.
And it has, as far as I remember from going, it has to be displayed inside the room. Now, other elements in it is welfare increases. Income taxes are going to change for us as well, which would be equivalent of about €4 or €5 a week USC, the Universal Social Charge, which, ironically enough, was brought in to offset some of the damage to bail out the banks during the recession.
Yeah.
That was brought in as an emergency tax with the promise of it being, of course, being gone after 5 years. And all they've done is tinker with it, but it's still here. That was an emergency tax. It's not supposed to be here anymore.
Okay.
And now they're using it as a source of income because it's worth $3.4 billion or whatever it is.
But they're also planning to have a rainy day fund.
Yeah.
Will that lead into that, or is that separate thing?
Exactly where they're going to get the rainy day fund and Brexit preparations or whatever, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure it surely must be part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, the rate band at which you will pay higher tax will go from whatever it is now, 34.5. I
think it's
34,500. Yeah, will go up by another 750 before you have to start paying 40%. I was reading a couple of interesting articles about it. Apparently, for income tax as such, or taxation, Ireland is incredibly low. All right, in the sense that you don't pay, or you get away with paying lower amounts of tax than compared to other European countries. But the exchequer is funded more so than taxation, and through USC and through other stealth taxes.
Oh, okay.
More so than other countries. So I don't know I don't have the statistic here, but as unbelievably large percentage of income tax is funding the government expenditures, which is amazing. That's supposed to come from other sources as well.
But then you have a lot of I think Ireland is like one of the highest billionaire rate in Europe.
Yeah.
So that might be also kind of like getting in, but I mean,
well,
how does it work in Germany, for example, like with tax? Do you also have rate bands?
Honestly, I couldn't. You
or
must
is it just 40?
No, you must. No. See, you pay social service, you pay social taxes and all that kind of stuff, church taxes, that kind of thing. Like you pay other taxes. Hey, but guess what? You get actual services.
Yeah. Here we just get roads. It's also good, you know.
But what is very interesting, what I found was the Comptroller and Auditor General of Ireland reviewed how 480 people classified as high wealth individuals interact with revenue. And it turns out, like despite having assets of at least 50 million, they paid relatively low amounts of tax. And 1 in 4 declared taxable income below the average industrial wage, which is €35,000.
Oh, God.
So these fucking people declared taxes under 35,000.
That's crazy.
Despite what they have. And our Prime Minister had said, well, there's a difference between income and assets or wealth. Yeah. Fair enough, but I loved how he rushed to defend them. Yeah, but you still have the option to sell those assets. You get what I'm saying, or do something with them. I mean, you mightn't have it liquid, but how can you declare 35,000?
Yeah, I
mean, it's incredible, and it's just incredible what the numbers were on this. Yeah, I think the lowest rate of taxpayers, normal taxpayers, we were funding something like up to 76% or something like that of all revenue income.
Yeah,
like it's insane, and
it's
these guys
1%.
Yeah,
1% is yeah.
And that whole trickle-down economy bullshit, which was written, I think, for Reaganomics, and the author of that paper that they wrote for Reagan for him to justify.
What is this?
It was, you know, that the Reaganomics, the ultra hardcore capitalists push through America First kind of thing. And the idea was to absolutely get rid of all regulation and restrictions. And what idea behind it is that the bigger the firms can become, desto, I was going to speak German there.
Desto.
The more people they can employ, the more resources they get to put back into the economy and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, guess what happened? All large firms took their shit and left. Yeah. They outsourced to China. The people got cheaper. They got cheaper labor. Now they offset their taxes by simply not paying tax in the US, and they're sitting here paying the minimum amount of tax here. So this completely bit them in the ass. And the author for that paper himself, decades came out afterwards. He goes, "We just made shit up. We needed a working solution for Reagan, and we just made it up. Trickle-down economics does not work because you have the human factor or the human corporation factor involved."
Yeah, that they will be like
impossible
trying to find easier solutions for themselves.
But sorry, why would I? Morals and ethics aside, if I'm a company after ultra profit, why would I pay $20 for a worker if I can get that worker for $1? No. So don't come at me. You know, this kind of
it's
thing.
The same thing. Look at insurances at the moment, right? Mm-hmm. So when you go to cinema, in cinema there is an ad. It's like, so they tell you, it's like, okay, so this is John and this is Bob. Yeah. And John and Bob made a fraud, insurance fraud. Yeah. And that fraud is then reflected into your premium. Yeah. Which then increases your, because then it increases your premium. So then I wonder, it's like, so basically you are telling me that the fraud is causing me to pay more to you, right?
Yeah.
But why don't you just decrease your profits and try to find a solution against fraudsters? Why are you...
There was an initiative launched to make it harder for them to claim, because in Ireland the suing culture is phenomenal. Like, you can literally go in, say you got whiplash, and insurances have to pay out.
Yeah.
But they made it harder and has made a dent a little bit in the high insurance prices. But because Ireland only has 4, 5, 6 insurers or whatever, or even background insurers, they once they were investigated and raided by the government, by the CAB department, the Criminal Assets Bureau department, they had politicians that asked them, they're like, "Oh, you talk about that you're paying out millions in fraud. Okay, show us these statistics so we can combat it." And the insurance companies never released the papers. They never gave their own figures. Like, if they pay out 100 million in fraud per year, fair enough. Then at least show me what's going on, and then let's get a solution. Ironically enough, while the prices were going up for everybody, people who were paying 500-600 before were now expected to pay, 12, 13, 1400. They wrote record profits throughout those years.
Oh, that they had like a record. Oh, yeah, of course.
Record profits, 2016, 17, and 18. Yeah. Come on, get the fuck out of here. You know?
And then they sent also a letter to everybody the other day, your insurance companies, to say that you should be signing some sort of a petition for them to have more kind of like strength when they are lobbying. They are lobbying against some sort of a law, and I'm not sure whether it's Irish or European law.
Yeah.
And the insurance company is literally asking you, "Hey, sign the petition, so we can actually fuck more with you." Like, it's literally like, in between the lines, you are reading the letter and you are like, "This makes no fucking sense." Like, why would you ask me to go for a petition for you when you are actually always increasing my fucking premium?
It probably is something along the lines of where they're asking you to, go against or vote against a law that would cost them more money because we're trying to look after you. What you're actually doing is it makes your finances more unsure for investors.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Or like similar thing, what happened? What was it? There was also something last year or this year with the mortgages? When there was like 400,000 mortgages or some big number of mortgages that were supposed to get government funding, but they were reassessed incorrectly, and then they had to. I think it was like literally like Leo made a decision and said, "Okay, fuck this! Like, you just have to pay them back all of the money that you owe them."
The banks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Was it the tracker mortgages or something?
Yeah. That was crazy.
Oh man, what the banks have gotten away with here. But anyway, so there's welfare payments are going to go up. Christmas bonus is going to be maintained. Overall, without going into too much detail, they're going to help a little bit with housing. Cigarettes are going to go up. Alcohol
by
is not
50
going to
cents.
go up. 50 cents. But they've been doing this now for the last 10 years. Yeah.
50 cents is crazy.
But what is interesting about the budget in general is Ireland at the moment has an unbelievable housing crisis. This is something we covered in a previous episode. Rents have gone through the roof. The government is afraid to step on everyone's toes. And remember, every member in all the members in Parliament, I think 75% of them are landlords. Ironically.
Yeah.
So do you know what they've done now? They've given more tax relief for landlords.
Yeah.
So they can offset, I think, money that they're putting into it, renovations, some of the interest and mortgages that they've purchased for renting. So it's incredible. They keep going about this the wrong way. And what I was going to say about the budget in general is like some of the numbers on paper look phenomenal, but the government in Ireland has had an abysmal history of actually making those numbers and promises materialise. A lot of times budget gets lost. For example, Galway 2020, they're losing money by the week because they can't get their shit together to assign some things and to allocate budget, which means the European Union comes back in and goes, don't need that 5 million, let's take it back. Don't need that 1 million, week by week, month by month. They're coming and taking it out.
Really?
So here we go again, misplanning. And with the budget itself, it's just, we'll have to see. And my idea was, or like, I don't know, my kind of thought on it is that a budget should be, by the way, this is the first balanced budget in a long time. So for once, they're not running a deficit and they're not running a surplus. They're hoping to run a surplus next year.
Yeah.
But instead of giving some tax cuts or whatever these random little bits seem to be, I think what they should have done, like I said, I'm not an economist, I could be talking out of my ass, but there's extreme crises here, housing, homelessness, and the health sector.
Yeah.
I can live, because if you are on below the welfare line or whatever, those benefits should stay, housing, childcare, those kind of things, okay? Those should stay, and those could be increased to help tackle some of those issues. But I could have, and it's only my opinion, I could have done without that extra €3, which is realistically going to be in my wages or whatever, if even per week, and taken that money and put it into a functioning fucking health service. Because the cap that you can put onto your medical card, a medical card is, you get of a certain disposition, or if you are below an income line. Yeah. What good is the GP's or the medical card for you if you can't get an appointment in the system? It's a completely failing, crumbling system. So pump money back into it. They say they're going to do it, but again, it's mismanaged by. It's too big. It's bureaucratic. It's too big.
I mean, the system seems to be very Don't tell me that you cannot get rid of backlog. It's technically it's just a backlog, right? Because they have a list of so we need to do all of these procedures, but then there must be a systematic issue that the system has kind of like a flaw in it that just increases or keeps the backlog static. So it's not moving.
Because they're not employing enough people, because they don't have the budget to pay the people. They're always underfunded. All the nurses fucked off because Ireland was paying them, and midwives, because they paid them shit wages. Then they go off to Canada and Australia and make twice as much money in a really nice and organized system. And if you looked at a lot of interviews and reports and stuff like that, a lot of them were saying, I want to go back home now. But I can't drop my wages, and horrible working conditions, that kind of thing.
That's funny.
And it's
I thought
chronically
that they're making quite good money.
Who?
Irish nurses.
No, they're highly qualified.
Oh.
Even after my daughter was born, we were talking to a year 4 midwife, and we were like, "Oh, we're going to be," and she was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be finished in 2 weeks or whatever," and then we're like, "Oh, cool. So can you get a position here?" And she was like, "No position's going here because there's a budget cut. I'm going to Australia." And we're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So it's terrible. It's terrible. So anyway, that's the point I was going to make. That what good is a GP card if you can't get an appointment? Or and
I mean, it helps to a certain point.
Don't get me wrong. It definitely helps. But if you're in pain with a hip, but your hip replacement can only be done in 3 years.
All right.
But you know what though? That is actually a form of managing a backlog as well. It's the hope that while you're in line that you die. That sounds pretty grim. But listen,
it's technically what is happening.
It's a cost-saving measure. Yeah. Instead of you getting a free hip replacement at a whatever age, and you can't, like I said, you can't get it for 3 years. The state's kind of like, off you go. Hopefully you'll be gone, so that'll cost us a little bit less money. I know it sounds grim, but that's kind of.
I forgot actually to speak about this when Katrina was here also, and I think that one of the biggest problems that I see with social I think social systems in general.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of times you have families who are doing just above the line, but it's still not enough for them, you know? That it's like they will not get the benefits of someone who is making like just below the line.
Yeah.
You know, let's say, I don't know, it might be a difference of 500 or 1,000 euros.
Yeah.
But they are still missing on all of the benefits, all of the like stuff for housing and all of this shit. You know, and we were, so for example, we were in the same situation in Slovakia. We were on the paper, we were making, like the family was making money there where you should be able to manage throughout the month.
Yep.
But at the beginning of the month, you knew that you are not going to manage, so you will need extra money at the end of the month. But because you were just above the line, you didn't get anything.
Yep.
Someone down the road, both parents, I think, were unemployed, and like The kids had free lunches, free fucking public transport to school. They had free everything in school, whatever, like all of the small bits that you could get. And I'm like, there was me, mom was working, dad wasn't working at all. But just because we kind of, it was just because the minimum is so low that it's like just above the line, you're just not getting anything. Yep. You're just not literally, you can't even ask.
Yep.
You know?
See, that's the thing. That's we would fall into that middle income kind of thing, but it's way lower end middle income. Was they think everybody earns 45,000 euro, whatever.
Yeah.
It's we're above the lines, so therefore pay full childcare, full schools, full rent, full everything, absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the month, I can tell you there's barely anything left for us to save, for example, for a house to get the deposit, which is now incredibly high. Yeah, or the house prices. There really isn't much left at the end of the month. And we only have one or two little luxuries. Okay, I say luxury here with podcasting equipment or whatever. Yeah, that was hard saved money. That took ages. As a family, like our household budget, you're absolutely right. Like full price for everything.
Yeah, literally.
You know?
Like, I mean...
But this is what I'm saying. Like, I would be okay with not taking an extra €3 out of the thing and get a system that works. Yeah. Get this Galway bullshit bus system working. Yeah, get these roads fixed so that the underfunded ambulance service can drive properly to and from the hospital. So there could have been key systems. Education is another one. That needs to be funded, and so I don't know. It's just. Yeah, like I said, we could be talking out of our ass. We're not economists, but it's very difficult, But yeah, like I said, the key supports is good that they're there, I don't know. It just threw me a little bit to see what's going to now be converted correctly.
Yeah.
They allocated for housing and that kind of stuff. It's just that ass-kissing of landlords again.
Yeah.
Rather than capping it brutally and saying you're not allowed to increase, not in this zone or that. No, you're not allowed to increase. You have to make so mmaythings available because you're sitting on empty properties or whatever. They just need to be more hardcore. So we are just going to give you, you are just going to pay less tax, because what they're trying to do is, let's say you have empty property or you are Airbnb-ing it. Yeah.
So they're like, hey, why don't you rent? And we are going to give you loads of tax. You are going to pay less tax.
Yeah.
What about that? Come on, man. And they're like sitting next to each other, and it's like, yeah, cool.
Hell yeah.
It's great, yeah. So I own fucking 300 flights, right, in Dublin, right?
Exactly.
So for them, it's and we are not talking about small landlords who have one fucking house.
No.
We are talking about these are millions. This is millions. The people are literally taken from people who are actually paying the fucking tax.
Exactly.
Which is that 80% of the people who are down the line and trying to work their asses off.
Exactly.
All the time.
Exactly. Well, we'll see. But it's just one catastrophe of the next. But on the whole, it is stabilizing. Yeah. It's a weird way of repumping the money. But what scared the shit out of me was they reviewed 6,000 papers on climate change. And we have a lot less time. We have a lot less time than we think. It's only about 12 years, before they was talking about, until 2030. We have to cut carbon emissions by then, and we have to do this by then. No. It's there's only a dozen years for global warming to be kept to a maximum of 1.5 degrees. And they did calculations. To go from 1.5 to 2 degrees would have unbelievable effects on the planet. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is the difference between climate and weather. Mm-hmm. Weather is localized, and the climate and what happens in a very short span of time, and climate is what happens over quite long times.
Yeah.
A good way I've read or seen it described is the climate is your personality or your character, and the weather is your mood right there and then. Yeah. It's just what it actually means, and it's just amazing that people are denying it. They 195 countries came together to review this, and really strong warnings went out. They're going I know you keep, like Berlin voted now to keep diesel cars rather. I mean, come on, it's amazing. Rather than going with climate, Australia voted against something as well now, and people are completely ignoring it.
I need to sell my car, man.
Don't every year the weather is getting weirder. We are getting our second hurricane now, probably on Friday, or extreme storm front. Countries hottest than they've ever been in recorded this year for longer periods of time. Yeah. And then this whole thing like, but if it's global warming, why is it so cold? I mean, shut the fuck up, man. Like,
That's actually causing the extremes.
Exactly. Like, don't be stupid. Cold. Yeah. It's incredible. We are actually at risk, and the more I read about it, and when they say like, only 97% of scientists agree, the other 3% were proven to have links to the fossil fuel industry. So there you go. And they were proven. They had to declare that they were employed by ExxonMobil or whatever it is. So, like scientists don't sit around and make up dire warnings just for the fun of it, because it's hard to profit from that. You know?
Do you know what is funny? It's like literally like also changing people's buying habits. It's changing people's buying habits. For example, so I read today that Jaguar Land Rover, their profits or like their sales dropped within quarter by 12 to 17% on in general. 12% within a quarter. And the reason why they're saying it's like because the diesels, like people are buying less diesels. Yeah. So they now they have to figure out the way how to sell more petrols, right? Yeah. And plus they are moving also the manufacturing to Slovakia. So it's like, no, I'm not saying about that, right? But for some reason it's like, it just seems to be like also like affecting people to say, oh fuck, I'm not buying a fucking diesel. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so weird. Like, you know, before when people heard about it, it's like, oh yeah, but like, climate change, but I'm going to spend less on the fuel, which in reality, like you will, like we have to be honest. But now it's like, people are like literally like, oh fuck this, I'm not buying fucking
I think the Volkswagen scandal had a lot to do with that as well, because it opened up the floodgates in the sense that the emissions from a diesel car is actually way worse than people thought. Like your car sitting, because everything was faked, so your car is kind of like, it's fairly efficient, it's good, whatever. But then it turns out your car creates as much diesel emissions, or if not, some trucks are actually huge trucks, haulage trucks, are actually cleaner because of their filter systems than diesel cars, because they simply lied about what was in it.
Yeah, but on the then on the other hand, they had record sales in that and the following year.
Oh, that's right. Actually, you're right. Actually,
this is the strange thing. It's like, it's like
everyone's
it helps.
Fuck Mercedes, fuck Volkswagen.
But but Volkswagen was also saying it's like,
right.
Like we would like to be compliant, but the problem is that the fucking CO2 emissions are way too low to be hit or to be matched. That's why they are like, oh fuck, like let's just say that we are just sending a software that will start to show something different.
Yeah, but what they did was illegal.
It was illegal but
official
people
testing.
Are like, but I know multiple people who said, like, if they're able to fucking set a software like this, I'm gonna buy this fucking car, you know? So like their shares dropped by like I think it was like $200 or something like that. It was like incredible number. Shares
dropped, but then sales shot up.
And then sales just started to go like. Can you Google? Google the graph of how much did the shares drop after the scandal? And then the following year they had like a record sales on their new Passat.
Here, that's excuse me. Well, I don't know what's wrong with me today. Volkswagen sales in US rebound after the scandal. Yeah, and that's New York Times. The failing New York Times.
And do you know what? The funny part is that it's actually the Americans. The Americans who give out about emissions driving fucking 8-liter motors. You know, like come on, man, come on.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a real issue. So I'm actually worried about that more so than World War or anything like that.
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
like this has an effect. I mean, why are we having hurricanes in Ireland? Like actual hurricanes? What?
It's crazy.
This is not normal, dude. 12% from 2016 to 17 in October, and in September, 33%. What the fuck is wrong with people?
Plus, I would like to see how much of these were actually diesels.
Oh, this is so stupid, man.
See, at least it shows, like, see, this is the thing, it's so weird, like, I don't know, but it might be, like, the base of the customers, like, the demographics of them, like, I don't know, maybe for Jaguar and Land Rovers, like, it's a different group of people going for them rather than Volkswagen, right? Because it's high-end.
Yeah.
Rather than going for Volkswagen stuff and buying fucking Golf.
I don't know.
It's incredible, it's crazy. It's crazy,
But there's what they did though to hide everything. But now, do you see one by one, BMW, Mercedes, they're all getting called back in for really bad cases of fraud, incredible cases of fraud.
Because it was kind of like a cartel. It was a cartel.
It's
agreement.
what it was.
Yeah,
it was.
That's what they did.
Yeah. But it's amazing. But the German car lobby is incredibly powerful though in Germany. Don't forget it. Like this is German-made cars. Forget it. If they don't want emission taxes or whatever, they'll get rid of it. Like. We've seen it in Berlin. It's incredible how powerful they are. It's like the gun lobby in America.
Oh, yeah.
Just with cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy what's going on in the world, man.
We might be off on Friday.
Yeah, it looks like we talked about storms a couple of times now, but that's because storms keep hitting us. So
I feel like in Midwest of US.
I know what's going on.
A fucking tornado every fucking Thursday.
Yeah, it's so basically if we get a red alert.
Really?
Then or status red, then work and schools and everything get cancelled in Ireland. So that might mean in a few days we'll be working from home.
Yeah, working from home.
Damn it. So yeah,
fuck laptops.
So, but they say 160k winds, which is incredibly strong. I mean, the one that really blew the roof tile on top of my head, in the garden. I still have to show you that.
Or 130.
That was only, I'd say only in inverted commas, but only like whatever that was.
It's incredible.
So it's gonna be. I need to put in my garden furniture and all that. Just put it in, just in case. Like even at 120, that table can fly.
Oh, the table.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So folks,
crazy.
Be safe out there.
You have to be.
Anything else you wanted to let the people know?
No, nothing else.
That's a shorter episode than usual.
Yeah, but it was super efficient, right? Just like the German cars.
Boom! Nice. High five.
High five. High five. Oh, there is one thing, right? So
hit me.
I watched the video today, and it's on YouTube, and it's only for German speakers, unfortunately. So like in Berlin, like you have the clans, like Familien clans.
Yeah.
And usually they're Lebanese.
Yeah,
and
the Arab
do you
clans.
know Klaas from MTV?
Vaguely.
Like once you see him, you will know. Guys, he was supposed to do like a clip on like Familien clans.
Yeah.
And basically, they were in like a village trying to pretend that they are in Neukölln or Kreuzberg in Berlin.
Yeah,
it was the funniest part of the whole day. It's like super super funny. Like if you ever watch it, it's like Berlin nightlife, BNL.
Yeah,
and then Familien clans on YouTube. But it's really really funny. Like we have to watch it afterwards.
I must go check it. Yeah.
It's really really like. One of the funniest parts, and I'm like watching, like this doesn't look like Berlin,
but it's in a village.
It's a village, but they are in front of a doner shop, and somebody's smoking shisha, and they're like, hey, we are like in the middle of a village, like we are not in Berlin. What are you talking about? And he's like, come on, nobody knows, like we are in front of a fucking doner shop. Jesus Christ! I just spit on my microphone, man. Anyway, so much of an excitement.
Well, check it out.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much for joining me yet again, and we'll see each other in a week and a half.
Perfect.
Or whatever time. Okay. Boop. Peace out.
All right. See you guys.
You managed to listen to the Rum Boys talk on Random Urban Memories. Just like and subscribe where you can on all platforms.